This is Born Strategist, and in this video, I'm going to be asking, as well as answering, the following question. Should you buy Rise of Iron? Now, the reason why I ask this question is because, well, Destiny's expansions haven't necessarily been all that fulfilling in terms of the content that they have. And when you look at the Rise of Iron, it's going to be priced at, $29.99 American or $30. And when you look at the content that they're going to be putting into this particular expansion, it doesn't seem very worthwhile considering that a lot of the content is going to be reutilized assets from prior expansions or from the original game or whatever it is. So, what could you expect from Rise of Iron? Now, when I look at the Rise of Iron, I automatically see there being a lot of reskins. Basically, you're going to get a lot of weapons that function the same way as the old ones, but have a different looking skin to make you feel as if they're actually new weapons, when in actuality, they are not. On top of that, you'll probably get some strikes that will take place on some of the maps that you've already been on. So you'll probably be going backwards this time, or maybe forward, because we went forward first, then we went backwards, and now we're probably going to go forward again. And one of the main reasons for that was just to make you feel as if you're on a different map, when in actuality, you're not, because it's essentially the same map, you're just going in a different direction. Now, having said that, what about the raid? Well, when I look at this raid, I'm pretty confident that this was the raid that we were initially supposed to get in the House of Wolves. Now, if you guys don't really remember, or you didn't play the game at that time, or you just didn't purchase the House of Wolves, there was supposed to be a raid in it. But they stripped it away because it wasn't complete, and instead they gave you the Prison of Elders. Which essentially is just nothing but an endless horde mode. And, it was okay for what it was, but I don't think a lot of people really got into PoE. So, me being one of them. And as a result, they just kind of felt as if it was unfulfilling and pointless. And for the most part, it was, at least initially. But since one of the more recent updates, they obviously add some more stuff into it to give you some incentive to go back. But aside from that, let's go ahead and take a look at what the Rise of Iron is going to offer. Now, we know it's going to offer some new story, supposedly. Now, how extensive that is actually going to be, we don't know, but we'll find out when it ships. Now, aside from that, we also know that they're going to have some, reskins, meaning weapons that have new skins on them. And you're also going to have some reskin enemies. Essentially, they're going to be enemies that you've already fought before in terms of their, movement and mechanics, but they'll have different skins, okay? Maybe they'll have some new mechanics, we don't know yet, but I doubt it's going to be all that significant. Now, on top of all that, we also have the raid itself, which I firmly believe was stripped away. Now, if you're going to be paying $30 for this, you have to acknowledge that you're going to be buying really a very, very slim amount of content, okay? And as I've said on countless occasions, we're in the era to where you have to pay far too much for far too little. And to me, that's a big issue here. And the one thing that sucks is that you have a game like Warframe that provides its initial product for free. Now, granted, there is Platinum, which requires real currency to get, or you can go ahead and trade for it in-game, since it is a very popular currency. But it still gives you way more content than Destiny does for one hell of a price, which is completely free. I mean, you don't really have to even buy anything. You can just go ahead and acquire mods or prime warframes or prime weapons and just go ahead and trade those for platinum and take that platinum to go ahead and buy whatever you need. Whether it be, warframe slots or weapon slots or whatever it is. And it's not as if they don't give you anything initially, because they do. They give you 50 platinum. And when I look at games like Warframe, more specifically Warframe itself, I'm going, it's amazing how much content you get for a free price. But yet, when you look at Destiny, it's completely the opposite. Okay? You have to pay so much money for so little content. And I'll be the first one to say that I like Destiny. It had good mechanics, I enjoyed its multiplayer, and that was the main reason as to why I went back to it. But the problem is that they just don't provide enough content to keep the PvE audience happy. And trust me, I've played a significant portion of PvE, but when you have to go in to the same freaking story missions and the same stupid strikes over and over again, It is the definitive representation of repetitive. And this is a common complaint amongst people that play Destiny, okay? It's okay to criticize because I really can't stand those people that says, well, if you don't like it, don't play it. The thing is, we like the game, but there's a lot of nagging issues in the game that need to be adjusted, that need to be fixed, that need to be dealt with. And that's something that is yet to be done. Now, obviously, you're not going to see very much in the way of significant changes when it comes to the Rise of Iron, so don't expect a great deal of different stuff to be thrown at you with this new expansion because it just isn't going to happen. You're probably going to have to wait for something more significant, probably along the lines in Destiny 2. So wait for Destiny 2 to come out because then you'll probably see some more significant differences. And if not, then you're going to have a lot of pissed off people. But the thing is that you're being charged $30, which is 50% of a full priced game. $30 opposed to $60. And when you look at the very slim pickings in terms of content, it's really frustrating because if you're going to be paying $30, you would like to know that you're going to get your money's worth. And I'll be honest, I don't think you're going to get your money's worth with this Rise of Iron expansion. Now you're probably going, it's like, man, what? Why do you hate Destiny? What's your problem? Why don't you like it and why aren't you getting it? Well, first of all, I don't even know if I'm going to play it. Second of all, I don't even know if I'm going to get it. And third of all, if I have to cover it, that doesn't necessarily mean that I've actually bought it. So the thing is that I don't know for sure. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to play it. We'll see what happens. I'll play it by ear because obviously you're not getting very much in the way of information. So you never know when they could actually throw something your way that could appease you. But as far as we know, there's not going to be much in the way of content. Now, yeah, you'll probably have a couple of story missions. They have maybe like 30-second cutscenes or whatever it is. And, that's good enough for them. And to be honest, that'll probably be good enough for the majority of people. I'm not one of them. If I'm going to be paying $30 for an expansion, I expect a significant amount of story, PvE gameplay, and multiplayer maps, as well as weapons. So, I don't think you're going to get that though, and that's the problem. You're paying $30. $30 just for one expansion. Think about that, $30. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 gave you way more content just by paying $50 because you got the season pass for $50. If you buy a Call of Duty season pass, and I don't care if you're a fan of Call of Duty or if you love Call of Duty or if you hate Call of Duty, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Thing is, whether you like it or not, the fact is that for $50 you can get 4 freaking expansions that give you zombie-based content, multiplayer content, and new weapons. And that's something that you don't get very much of when you buy a Destiny expansion. Simply put, you don't get anywhere near as much value for your dollar as you would in a game like Call of Duty. And that's an Activision game. Because let's not forget that Activision is a publisher that publishes both Destiny and Call of Duty. And Activision has become accustomed to, having games like Call of Duty shell out 4 different expansions over the course of a year's time, or actually probably around 6 months. And they've done a pretty good job at it. They're consistent. They always hit their mark. They're always throwing out those DLCs to keep people happy and keep people playing. Destiny, on the other hand, has kind of been of a letdown. And I'll be honest, the only expansion that I actually cared for was the Taken King, because that's where they gave you the most amount of effort. Granted, it was almost the price of a full fucking game, and that it was $40, but still, it wasn't a bad offering. Now, will you get that level of content this time around with the Rise of Iron? I doubt it. Okay, I'm being straight up with you. I'm being honest with you, as I always am. I doubt you're going to get that level of content. But people are still going to buy it anyway because they love Destiny and they're desperate for new content. But as a person who has stated this on several occasions, I am not content with crap. Okay? And I expect a lot more considering how much money you're paying. Now, will we see a significant portion of content? Doubtful at best. Still, it'll be a solid offering for those of you that really want some Destiny content. With that said, should you buy the Rise of Iron? And if you're a person like me that's skeptical and a little worn out of Destiny, I would probably say no, or at least wait until you find out some more information. But if you're a hardcore fan, let's face it, you're going to buy it anyway, regardless of what anyone says, simply because you're desperate for new content. But don't let your biased subjective preference cloud your judgment. Okay, acknowledge that sometimes game developers and publishers are intentionally trying to screw you out of every single penny solely so they could benefit financially. And that wouldn't necessarily be a big problem if you're actually getting your money's worth. You're actually getting a good value for your dollar. But when it comes to Destiny expansions, I'll be honest, I felt as if I've gotten screwed on countless occasions when it's come to that content. And that's a significant problem. And trust me when I say that I'm not the only one who feels this way. With that said, what's your thoughts? What's your opinions? Are you looking forward to the Rise of Iron? And will you buy the Rise of Iron? Let me know below. Until next time, thanks for watching. If more objective reviews, strategy guides, commentaries, and more, stay tuned to this channel.